Hello.
Find your spot. There we go. Alrighty then. Hello. Hello.
You sat down without the...
I know.
Which is surprising. I thought for sure it was going to be a long sigh.
It's,
Do we look as tired as we feel? Don't answer that. No, I'm just kidding.
Our neighbor came over yesterday to look at the floor. Mm-hmm. And she texted afterwards. She goes, "You guys look exhausted." Well, we feel exhausted.
Yeah. The heat always takes it out of me, and it's just all of these days that have been consecutively in the mid-90s, which I know some of y'all have much higher temperatures than that, but I'm just not used to it with the humidity. And
well, here's an example of, it's all relative.
Right.
Jim was over today. Mm-hmm. We were working on reframing the west wall, and just chatting, and he mentioned that 2 months ago he traveled to Alabama, where he spent most of his time. His brother's there to visit his brother to do some stuff 2 months ago, and he said it was so miserably hot and humid for him, even though he
out of it.
Grew up there.
Yeah.
That he never wants to go back again. I mean, obviously that last part was joking, but he said it was miserable there 2 months ago. So it's all relative to
what you're used to,
what you're acclimated to. Like we're slowly getting acclimated to this, but
yeah, because I mean I grew up in Nebraska, so I'm used to I was raised in humidity and stuff. In the last couple of days to week, it's been like, man, this reminds me of why I left. Like it just gets
one of the reasons,
so warm and so toasty, and the humidity is just another thing which affects my breathing. It just takes all the energy out of us. It reminds me, sir.
Drama Duke, we're trying to film. He's got his wings out. He's like, it's hot.
He's like, it is hot. He's like, I agree. He's known nothing else.
Yeah, Levi to our right, and he's just panting over there in the shade.
But he's on his raised bed, which is great because it provides airflow underneath and gets him off the ground. So usually those are supposed to be cooling beds. But what I was saying was it reminds me of our honeymoon. We honeymooned in Belize for 2 weeks.
In two different climate zones in Belize.
Yeah, we were
1 week
on an island.
On an island. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Oh, that was just absolutely gorgeous. That was such a great time.
Yeah, and thunderstorms every night.
Mm-hmm. You can see it off in the distance, lightning.
Which was kind of crazy because you're in this little cabana out in the middle of the ocean. Literally
out in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
In this little island.
It was like an hour from land.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. It was so cool. Yep. Loved it.
Yeah. And then the second week, we were in the jungle.
Yep.
Deep in the jungle, like right on the border of Guatemala.
Yeah.
And it was humid.
Everything was wet. All of the games were wet. All the books were wet. All the playing cards were wet.
Yeah, they stuck together. They were so wet.
Everything. Our clothes did not dry.
Never dried.
We set them out, and they just stayed wet.
Yeah.
It was like.
Yeah, we washed them, and then we thought, we'll just hang dry them. Nope, they did not hang dry.
Because we both travel very, very light. I've always traveled light. I got it from my dad. Taught me how he packed in the Army. And so he, oops, no, Kinsley, you can't.
Stay here. You stay here, girl.
Kins, good girl.
It's just the UPS person.
So we both only took one backpack apiece for a 2-week honeymoon.
Yeah.
Granted, the weather was supposed to be pretty nice, so didn't have to, sweaters or coats or anything like that, but it was definitely having wet clothes for the last week was something.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the more humid times.
And we went in off season. We went in the cooler season. So I mentioned Jim was here today. He's coming back tomorrow. In fact, while you guys are watching this, Jim and I are probably working on day number 2 of the west wall. So the last Kraemer Life video and a few other times I've mentioned that we need to reframe the west wall because it dips downward. It kind of it's not straight in other areas. And then I also wanted to get rid of a lot of the lumber, the sill plate, and some of the bottom portions of the studs because they had a bunch of mold on them.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're working on. And it took us from 9 to 4 to get about a 15-foot section, half of a 15-foot section, because we still have the framing of the door to do. Lift it up a little bit more level to where it should be, things cut away, new lumber, new bottom plates, new studs in place. So we made slow but steady progress, and tomorrow will be a little bit easier because we have a better understanding of how we need to go about doing it. So and then so then the west wall will be in place, secured to the floor, which is secured to the foundation, and it'll be straight and mostly level. We couldn't quite get it. There was an area where it sagged down 2.5 inches, and we were able to get it to sag only 1/2 inch. We weren't quite able to get it that last 1/2 inch without things. We felt like we were pushing it.
Yeah.
So we just didn't need to push it for that last 1/2 inch. It wasn't that important.
Yeah.
So
maybe we'll get some crown molding if we need it.
if we need to, yeah.
Yeah, just worried about the drywall, and obviously it would, with that big of a gap, it wouldn't be secure up there, right? Is that what some of the big issue was?
You might notice it, if you're looking for it, you might notice that the wall, but 1/2 inch over a 30-foot run.
Oh, I meant when it was 2.5 inches.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely noticed that, yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah, the 1/2 inch, it's not a huge deal. I mean, with this old house and all of the lovely, lovely surprises we found in it, 1/2 inch is nothing.
Yeah,
So.
no, it'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be good. But that man wears me out. Trying to keep up with him.
He was ready to keep going, and Nate's like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm ready for a shower.
It was at 4 o'clock. He's like, well, I think we're done with this for today. We're at a stopping point. What else do you want to work on today? It's like, nothing, Jim. I got no more work left in me. And he goes, yeah, I've been kind of taking it slow because my shoulder's bad. And I was like, this is your slow? He goes, oh yeah. I'm like, oh man.
Yep. Yeah. It's different, when you've done it for the majority of your life, and it just, like you said, it comes second nature to him. So it's great. It's like just you with like computer stuff, right? And it's, it wears me out when you're talking about it and trying to explain it. And it's again, it's all relative.
It's all relative, yeah. It's all relative.
Yep.
Yeah. So what did we do this weekend, honey?
Great question.
Thank you. I know you mowed, you pushed down a tree, got rid of some big old brushy tree with the tractor.
Yeah, and I started to take down the netting where the Rhode Island Reds were. So I mowed the whole area over around the pond as much as I possibly could until I went through 2 cycles of batteries, and it was, just getting too hot, and I don't want to, as much water as I'm drinking still, it's a lot. So came in to take a break, and I was going to go back out there, but I ended up popping the tire of the lawnmower. I kind of thought maybe I did. I had gone over a couple small saplings, and one of them broke kind of jagged, and I didn't see it, and I heard something like it skidded, and I heard the rubber make a weird sound. And so I was like, dang it. But it seemed like it was okay. I didn't see any fluid spewing out or anything. So I went back and parked it. And then Nate let me know later that it actually was, in fact, leaking. And so we've got it jacked up now, and we'll have to get a repair kit on it.
The nice thing is, now that there's liquid in the tires,
you know exactly where the puncture is.
Exactly. A little tiny stream is just coming right out. Like, oh, there it is.
Yep.
So.
Which I'm surprised I hadn't popped a tire before with some of the mowing craziness that we mow over. So I didn't do a ton this weekend. I did some chicken moves, tried to put some chicks under mamas unsuccessfully. Unfortunately, sometimes the mamas just don't take them. I did it at night hoping that it would be okay. It was not. I woke up in the morning and, well, I had a doctor's appointment today, so when I got home, Nada checked on them in the morning. They were fine. I checked on them when I got back from the doctor's appointment. It was probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock maybe. And unfortunately, they had attacked the babies and so the babies had sores on them. So I hurried up, threw them in my shirt, and made them a brooder inside, which is super unfortunate because they were just a day old. They had just hatched the day before, but they're inside now. So unfortunately, I'll have to raise them in a brooder. But got them with Blue Coat, got them all cleaned up, got them drinking water. They have food. They're doing good now. I think that they'll be fine. They just unfortunately got pecked. Hate when that happens.
Yep.
It's really, really sad when mamas do that. And it was the bantams too. They're tiny. Little jerks. They were being feisty last night, and I was a little nervous, but I took all the eggs out from underneath them, and they've been moms before, and they were good moms last time. So I was really hopeful. But they didn't take them this time.
Nope, they did. I mean, they looked fine this morning. I checked on them and everything. I mean, there was 4 in,
It might have been another hen that came in and grabbed them, and the bantams just didn't put up a fight. It could have been that. It's hard to say. I guess I should have put a camera in there, then we could have watched. Maybe that's what I'll do next time, just to see.
I continued working on basement items, on the flooring, putting up extra posts and ledger boards and that video on the Kraemer Life will come out on Wednesday, so you're tomorrow. In getting in preparation ready for today's work with Jim. But yesterday was kind of a slower day for me. I think it was just I didn't really do any downstairs work. We
went lumber shopping. That's another thing we did.
We had to. For today's work with Jim, I needed to get 50 2x6 by 8s. Actually, I only needed 34, but I ordered 50. I just had to load them into the back of my truck, thinking 10 or so will be bad, like cracks and whatever. No, 24 of them.
Horrible.
Just horrible condition pieces of lumber.
Straight up, there was some that didn't even, they were this wide at one end they were all chipped out. There was solid cracks all the way through them. Yeah. It was crazy. And
so we ended up returning those and then re-picking out lumber last night at Lowe's, 5 minutes before they closed.
Yeah, I didn't even pay dawn on me because I have this week off. So my Sunday, normally I'm like, hey babe, it's Sunday. We got to make sure we get to town a little earlier. I wasn't even thinking that because I wasn't working. So we got there and we did the return first and then went to go pick out the lumber, and we needed to get the other boards, and then we needed 2x4s also. And we had gotten all of the replacement ones, and we were just at the 2x4 pile, and they make the announcement. Nate's like, what did that say? And I was like, oh, I remember those. Those are the, hey, we're getting ready to close. Get your stuff to the register and get out of here calls. Because I used to do those all the time when I worked retail. So I was like, oh no. And then I looked at the clock, and sure enough, it was 7:55. I was like, oh, all right, well, let's hurry. So we were a little less picky on the 2x4s than probably we normally would be.
So I just thought of something else we did. So we have the brooder where we have chicken tractors with a bunch of chicks in it. So we moved the brooder and cleaned all of the droppings, lots of droppings, out from underneath it. And then you hosed it around really good in preparation for putting the chicks that are in the indoor brooders outside. So had the mamas taken the other ones, all of the birds would have been going outside, but they're too far of a difference in age to put the 1-day-old ones with they're about 2.5 weeks old at this point, and half of them are meat birds, so they're already this big with the little tinies, so I don't want to risk it. So we did clean that out. And then I think you sell some chickens?
I did. I sold some out of the Gen Pop. I sold
You sold two,
salmon,
no, three. No, two salmon Faverolles,
3 dark Brahmas,
3 dark Brahmas, and then one
and an olive
Ager. And then you also, that was Friday, I think. I was going to say, you also sold our Rhode Island Red flock.
Yeah, we had mentioned that. So yeah, we had sold that flock. And then I've been not advertising a ton. One, because it's so hot and I don't want to chase and stress out the birds when it's this hot. And also I don't, it's a lot of physical, like Nate and I were dripping in sweat catching them in Gen Pop. I had told the people, I was like, tell me which ones you want before you get here and I'll have them caught. Which we did for the Brahmas, but they were unsure if they wanted to go with the smaller salmon Faverolles or if they wanted to go with the same size as the Brahma salmon Faverolles. So when they got here, they looked at both and they decided they wanted to go with the little bit older ones. There's about a 4.5 week difference between the two ages, which is significant, with the feathering and the size difference. So, and then I just kind of was rattling off all the different birds that were in there, and they're like, "Ooh, an Olive Ager," and she was beautiful. Looks just like Olivia and Olive. She's just really, really pretty gray bird, and she'll lay green eggs. Every single one that Olivia we've hatched out from her has laid green eggs. So no matter which rooster.
Really a green egger.
Yeah, that's an Olive Ager.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not called a green egger?
No, it's an Olive Ager, because there's Olive Agers, Easter Eggers, and then there's the Whiting True Blues and the Whiting True Greens, and those will always lay either blue eggs or green eggs. Because when we had the Whiting True Blue, we had bred him with our silver-laced cochin, and we kept 2 of the babies, and Sean with the Modern Yeoman and Holly, they took 1, and all of them lay blue eggs. And they look completely different from each other. His looks more like a cochin. Mine looks more like a Whiting True Blue. One is silver and silver-laced, and the other one is gold-laced. So they look completely different, but they're same mom and same dad. So it's kind of cool. But anyway, I could geek out on all of the crazy chicken genetics, because it's some of our barnyards are my absolute favorites. They're just gorgeous birds. They just look so different.
I think it's funny that a year ago you were saying, I just hate birds, chickens. It's just gross.
I'm not a fan of chickens. I'm really not.
Yeah, but like, you can geek out on them so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I feel very strongly that if you're going to sell something, or you're going to, be talking about something or representing, you should actually know about them. And I mean, when I started retail in the animal industry, I was in it for almost 15 years. I knew nothing about lizards at all, nothing about reptiles, amphibians, arachnids, none of that. And I became the subject matter expert because I don't like telling people I don't know, and I'm not going to make something up. So if I don't know it, I'll be like, I don't know, but let me go find out. And so I just started reading and researching, and it just became my mission. And by the end of it, I had, I've mentioned this several times, over 22 lizards that I had rescued in my house, as bringing them back to health, and then I was rehoming them. And I've always had a passion for snakes, and they've never scared me. And so I'm very comfortable around spiders, around snakes, around lizards. So when I see them, it's like cool. And I'm like, hey, that's an anole, or that's a, armadillo lizard, or that's a gecko. And now it's like, I know a lot about them. Like, hey, don't grab it by the tail. It'll drop its tail. But birds have always grossed me out. Birds are just disgusting.
Yeah, they really are just
They're
gross.
really just dirty animals.
Like every time I touch a chicken, first thing I do is...
You're like, I itch.
Yeah, I itch, and then I'll hand sanitize, or I'll wash my hands.
Yeah. They don't make me itch, but they are just dirty. I mean, you're gonna get poop on you. It's just inevitable. It's fine. But I still care about them, and I'll still treat them good, but they're not my favorite. I've just never been a huge bird person. There's never been, I mean, they're cool, and I've owned birds in my life, but, they're hilarious. I mean, like the geese and the ducks, they make me laugh, and they're fun to have around, but they're dirty.
The
They're
geese
just
and the
dirty.
ducks are very dirty.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of ducks,
Yeah,
you started doing some research on the ducks.
I did, because I was like, man, they started getting blue in them, and I know, we're pretty positive they're mallards, and I know the boys have a bright green neck head, and I know they have blue coloring on their wings, and when the blue started coming in, I got really nervous, thinking, oh no, is it a boy? And so I was like, oh, do we have a boy and a girl? Because I was pretty positive with their brown coloring that they were going to be females. And then a viewer commented and said, hey, the blue on the wing might be a female. And so I started doing more research on the females, and it turns out they do have a blue stripe on their wings.
But the majority of them is brown?
Yeah, like 90% is brown. They have this little tiny blue strip with a little bit of white on the outsides. That's it.
Yeah.
And then the males have the bright, I mean, it's like emerald green. It's super dark.
So the males are like a peacock.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like beautiful green necks. And then they have a little bit lighter coloration, but they're still kind of that browny, tanny color. And then they have the really pretty blue on the wings also. And so I was like, oh, sweet. I think we actually have 2 females, which would be amazing, because we just want them for eggs, and maybe we'll get a drake down the road. I don't know. But
what is a female duck called? Oh, but you know what a male duck is called?
Yeah,
A drake.
I'm pretty sure it's a drake.
Okay, so there's also something else we haven't talked about in a long time, and that's the sheep.
Oh,
So
hey,
let us tell you
ladies.
about the sheep.
They're still here.
They're back there in the woods just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
That's really, I mean,
Yeah.
they have a huge paddock.
Yeah.
They're going all over the paddock. They have access to all the way down the driveway, all the way up the roadside, around
The neighbors.
the neighbor fencing, and then a huge area. And they
sleep very close
Yep.
at night up here by us under
yes,
a tree.
by the carport.
And a lot of times they'll, when it's really, really hot, they'll shade under that tree. But about this time of night, they start just going to town, and they are off in the woods
and in
eating
the mornings
trees.
when I'm doing chores, they're down
Yeah.
doing things, and they have plenty of foliage. And they'll let us know when they have nothing left, because
They
they're
just-
going to start buying.
Yeah.
So they have access to clean water, and they have access to minerals, and then this.
And then whatever else they want.
They're kind of not necessarily out of sight, out of mind, but kind of in that.
Yeah, we
Because
just
we
check
just-
on the water and the minerals.
And just, visually make sure that they're there every day.
Yeah. I mean, I notice them when I'm doing evening chores. They're usually out and about, or I hear them and I look over and they're walking through the woods. Dorothy is looking good. Rose is looking good. Blanche still has, she's lost more fur this year than hair this year than she ever has, but she's still got a pretty decent strip on the top. So I don't know.
She's getting more adventuresome and getting closer and coming when calling or not, whatever.
Yeah,
making
she's
the
getting
sounds
more
and-
curious about us. She
yeah.
used to be very standoffish and she wouldn't come anywhere near us, but now she comes pretty close. I've actually had her touch her nose to my hand, which never ever thought would. I mean, she was usually you'd even look at her and she would run the other way. She was very standoffish.
Yeah. So they're doing okay, and we just don't talk about them because it's not really a big part of our everyday.
No.
I mean, when we move them, they are. If they're in netting, they are because we move them
A lot
multiple
more.
times through the week, or they escape and we have to,
Yeah.
But they seem to be happy where they're at.
Yeah, I thought that they'd go through it more, but there are so many saplings and volunteer trees back there that are poplars and autumn olives, and they love both of those trees. So that's great. So they're eating all of the foliage off of that, which is great. Tree fodder is great for them. And then
It's really nice too, because I noticed when we were driving to Lowe's last night, on the side of the fence that they have access to along the street, it's nice and clean. There's no honeysuckle and stuff growing up on it. But on the side that we have to mow.
Yeah.
It's starting to get overgrown, but they're doing a good job maintaining the fence line.
Yeah.
So they have access to this honeysuckle, to the new little saplings and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
So,
And they're
doing
enjoying
fine.
it.
Yeah, they're doing fine.
Yeah, we'll probably move them to another section that's just really overgrown and just keep moving them around. Maybe, I don't know if the kudzu's too high. I'm just nervous now because all the holes. We wanted to put them over in the kudzu patch, but that groundhog that we had caught on camera a few months ago, I mean, some of the holes are crazy.
They're big.
And
Big holes.
I would feel awful if the girls got back there and somehow got their ankle hurt or their foot hurt. So we're just a little too nervous to put them back there right now, just
Yeah,
because you
and-
can't see the ground.
And plus, I want to make sure that the dogs are really safe going back there
Yeah.
and can't escape the property.
And the neighbor
before-
dogs can't get back in.
Yeah, before we start using that for because, because the dogs have to be able to get back there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because that's an area where I've never seen a coyote in that part, but just down maybe a couple 100 feet, we've seen coyotes crossing the fence right there. So we just want to,
gotta be
keep them close.
For now, they're doing fine.
Yep.
For now, they're doing fine. So
Yeah, and we had talked, one of the gals that came and bought some chickens from us said, hey, if you ever want to get into sheep, I have Katahdins. And I was like, oh, we have Katahdin Dorpers. And she's like, oh, you do? And I was like, yeah, they're just right there. You can't even see them. You're standing like 50 feet from them. But
she said that she had a ram that she's willing to sell.
Yeah.
But then she's talking about one of her neighbors that have a breed from UT that are parasite resistant. And she was like basically saying, you should just buy those instead
yeah,
because they're better. They're not papered, but
yeah.
they're in the same family. I'm like, oh, okay. So,
Yeah, so I told her I'd keep in touch with her when we were ready because we still do want to breed, and the girls are old enough now. It's just the right timing because we missed the window last year. We were just a little bit, we just had too much going on, and right now would have been a horrible time if for lambing and stuff.
I'm glad we didn't end up getting that ram.
Yeah, it was very sweet, but
It was a very sweet ram, but it felt rushed to us, and I was like,
yeah,
I was like, no, we don't need more. We're fine.
Yeah.
We got plenty of animals, plenty of things to keep us busy. Let's just.
so I just doubled down on chickens.
Yeah. Just keep hatching those chickens.
Hey, I'm trying not to hatch anymore. I'm trying to let the incubator have a break. It's
It's been going for
6 months.
6 months straight.
Yeah, and so I've got, the inventory levels are going down. I've got a good manageable, well, there's about 50 that I'm going to, they're roosters. So
Yeah.
those ones are just a hard sell here. People don't want to pay for them. They want them either free or basically free. And at the point with how much food and maintenance and money we have in them, if they're gonna buy them from me for $1 or $2, I might as well just process them for my own freezer rather than them get such a great deal. I mean, that's like giving them away basically. So that's where it's always hard for me because I don't have any mean roosters, and so they make good flock roosters. It's just people either already have one or they don't need one. And I have a lot of salmon faverolles right now. And they don't make a good flock rooster if you free range. They are not good.
No, they're good cooped up.
They're a captive. Give them a enclosed run, an enclosed coop. They're great.
Yep.
But for a rooster, he's not what you want in your flock. And I have too many of them. And I'm honest with people saying I personally would not free range with him as a rooster. I think you'd lose birds. We did try. And that was when the one got attacked by a hawk like that day. The first day that you let him out.
Yep.
It was like, dang it. And then we saw him, he was in the corner cowering.
Yeah.
And it was like,
He wasn't doing nothing.
I was like, dang it.
He wasn't doing nothing.
And then I remembered because I had forgot that, and I didn't tell Nate that. And he's like, oh, I just let him out, let him free range. And I was like, which rooster's up there? And then I was like, dang it. That was my bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, one last thing, just one quick update.
Okay.
Is
Falcons.
Falcons. No more attacks on the falcons. They've flown over because their nest is right over there, and the chicken's alert.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been swooping down. It hasn't been trying to grab anything. It hasn't landed on the
By the coop?
Yeah,
Or the
by the
tractor?
chicken tractor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. The geese alert. And the geese kind of just take everyone, which is great. That's what we wanted. We wanted guardian geese. And they're doing really good with the chickens. We haven't had really any major issues. We're just trying to determine, because I'm not going to keep all of the chickens that are in Gen Pop with them. I think there's maybe only 5 or 6 in that whole group that I plan on keeping.
Well, you sold 3 of them. You sold 3 that you were planning on keeping this weekend.
I sold 4, the Olive Acre and the 3 Brahmas.
That's right, yeah.
But I have more Brahmas right there. So I was going to keep the Brahmas because I need to expand my flock. There's only 5 with the rooster, and I want to get it up to 8. So, but we're just trying to figure out the right timing of when we can take these geese and put them with adult chickens that they may have not ever been with. Right. And that introduction and how we should be doing that. So I was hoping to do that when I do the moves. I want to get the ducks and the geese moved closer to the pond so that we can somehow do something and let them start using the pond. Because I think they'll help aerate it, they'll help clean it. Yeah, and they'll love it. And it's one less thing that we would have to then daily maintain by having all the little pools and everything, if we can figure out how to give them access to that pond and get them to use it. Because the shenanigans were not a fan.
No, they didn't want it.
I think the ducks will be okay in there, but I think the geese probably still would prefer it to be a little bit more cleaned out and a little bit more open.
Eventually.
2 of the geese sleep in the water all night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty cute because our bigger ones never really did that. But 2 of the littler ones, I'm wondering if that means they're males, because males typically spend more time in water than females. But
Interesting.
I don't know.
Interesting.
All the little fun facts.
All a bunch of fun facts. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we've rambled enough.
We have.
Yeah. So, goodbye.
Take care.
See you tomorrow.